Welcome to Being a Traditional Empath is Keeping You Broke. It's time to un-empath into a new empath for high-end success. And I am Majesty-Almighty AliNICOLE WOW, and joining me is Gina Gardiner. And we're excited to be here with you during this time because we are going to be sharing with you sort of a preview of a product that we have put together for those who are really ready to step fully into their empathic potential by understanding that they'll have to do an untraditional empathing process and go through a metamorphosis. So the name of the product is Un-Empathing Yourself, Metamorphosis Journey to Level Up for High-End Success as a New Definition Magnate Empath. Gina, thank you, of course, for being here with me, and I'm excited to be sharing this with you during this time.
I always love working with you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, I adore working with you and love working with you as well. And it was very important that we put together this particular resource because it's going to really shed light or shine the light, I should say, on the empathic experience to help empaths who have really been on the cusp of their evolution to understand why financially they aren't really catapulting into even levels of success that they've been preparing for, and not understanding why and why there's a financial stuckness, so to speak. And so being able to provide this type of experience will serve them tremendously.
Well, ultimately, I think everyone who is on their journey as an empath needs to understand who they are, how they're operating, and how they can maximize their potential so that it can help others.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Because if they don't maximize their potential and fully understand who they are, then they can't really serve at the highest level. And where we are in human evolution and potential, it has to be that it is that maximization that comes forth. I'm sure you agree because you brought that up.
Absolutely,
Mm,
definitely. And
yeah.
we need people who have that capacity to lead in the best possible way as empaths more than ever before, I believe.
Oh, we absolutely do. And the whole premise, if you will, around unempathing in a sense and helping empaths to realize that playing from the traditional template of an empath, which we talk about that within the product, and I'll have you to share a little bit about that, is what's keeping them broke, keeping them financially stuck. And so the whole goal, which what I'll do, Gina, is I'll go over what we covered, some of the highlights, and
Okay.
then we can talk a little bit about that. And then you talked a lot within the resource about the different characteristics of empaths in that template in the traditional format. And you really did an excellent job of shining the light on those characteristics that point out why empaths continue to play small, why they don't reach their greater potential. So I'm going to give just an overview. So this particular resource is a little less than an hour and 15 minutes. And what you're going to learn and explore during this experience is understanding why being an empath could be keeping you broke and experiencing consistent financial struggles. Also releasing the old empath template and shifting into a new definition format to level up for high-end purposes. Understanding the unempathic metamorphosis for new evolutionary divine human potential, and why leveling up into a magnate is critical for higher contributions to the new financial and economic landscapes, and also how intentional journaling unlocks the high-end empathic encoding the right WRITE way, and we cover more as well. So that's sort of an overview of the resource. And so, Gina, let's talk a little bit about um, some of what we talked about in terms of the importance of this. So would you like to share just a little bit about the releasing of the old template, what that old template looks like? And then I can talk maybe a little bit about the new definition aspect of it.
Many empaths are under the impression that in order to be spiritual, you have to be poor, that they don't want to charge for their services because in some way that doesn't feel right. The reality is that empaths are so often people who have had a challenging upbringing. They felt outside, like an outsider. They hold on to their hurts, and many of them see helping other people as a way um, to feel good about themselves rather than
Mm-hmm.
doing the deep inner work on themselves. And there are a number of problems with that. One is that they often create a dependency model for their clients, that they forget to look inside, to do that deep inner work that allows them to become the full potential of who they are. And so they're very good at self-sabotaging, and there are lots and
Mm-hmm.
lots of habits of self-sabotage. Um, and ultimately, because of that, they don't ever reach their full potential. And there's a sense that they have this huge purpose, but they either don't know what it is or they struggle to fulfill it, that they are often living from hand to mouth because they have not recognized that money is simply energy. And although they would never think of going into the supermarket and taking a loaf of bread without paying for it, they think it's more spiritual. It's better if they are giving away their services for free, or for very little. And as a result, they are not only keeping themselves playing small because they're not able to help as many people as they might because they haven't got the infrastructure because they can't afford it, but also they're doing other people a disservice because it's a divine exchange.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've heard me talk about this throughout the years, how it actually is within the metamorphosis. It's actually a mental illness. It's really like being in the insanity zone because it doesn't really have any foundation to why the thought process is like that. And that's because to no fault of their own, there's a template of, it's more like a virus in a sense that keeps looping them in this false reality that has no foundation. And the more people play into that, the more they're de-evolutionizing even the evolution that they've had. It's like they go back to square one in a sense. And that template is designed to keep empaths thinking in that way. It's much like what we hear about the matrix system, so to speak, that being locked in a certain matrix where it's a pre-programmed type of experience. And there are certain rules and people are playing within that framework. And a lot of times individuals are trying to sort of escape, from that. Within the empathic template, it's a matrix within itself, but that's where the metamorphosis comes in to break down that old identity. And that's what we talk about, within the resource. And within the resource, I share about how there's a unique encoding within the empathic structure, the new definition structure, and being able to start unearthing and unlocking that encoding. It is much like a caterpillar that has that encoding of a butterfly, which is its higher potential. And within empaths, there's a high end potential within the structures. And when they don't match up with that truth of who they are, then they live a decomposed life. And that decomposed life is much like being in the chrysalis. When that caterpillar breaks down, it's no longer what it was, but it hasn't come into be the new creation. So it's kind of stuck in the middle. And financially, that's what takes place with an empath, because they have a very significant purpose in the finance and economics world, just as I mentioned in terms of sort of what we covered. But when they don't sync up with that and understand their purposes, is that, yeah, you are here to be benevolent in some way, but that benevolence comes in a different format later when you have the financial stability to hold that higher financial space. But when they're unaware of that encoding and the potential of their different levels of purposes, then yeah, they're going to stay broke. As long as you are living under that traditional empathic template of being a chosen one, needing to be special, working from the ego, doing just what Gina mentioned in terms of, oh, you offer services, you do things to kind of feel good about yourself, but not actually live from a place of wholeness. That's a system, a systematic template of characteristics within an empath that, again, keeps them in that confine, if you will. And most of them are afraid to bridge over into their new definition format because they don't want to let go of the old stories. And when we talk about unempathing, some people can be afraid that they're going to lose being an empath. But here's the deal. You need to shed away something that is holding you back. Because if your empathic experience is holding you back and you're not moving forward to maximize the potential of being an empath, then what good is it to have that title or that, you know, Gina, you know where I'm coming from.
I think it's interesting that people often use their titles as their
Mhm.
identity,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and it's simply a word. Ultimately, what you call yourself isn't going to make any difference. It's who you are and how you
Yes,
live
right.
moment by moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I liken it to, it's like trying on a baby grow because you used to wear a baby grow, but
Mm-hmm.
now you've grown out of it. And if you try and put yourself into something like that, it's impossible. And it's also so restricting when ultimately you want to grow into the new version of you. And that's an ongoing evolution, that the new version of you is the foundation of the new version of you going forward. And so you're never done. You're always evolving into something bigger and better, if you allow yourself to. Or you can stay trying to
Mm-hmm.
get into the baby grow that you grew out of 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we call that in the US onesies, or sometimes I'll use I use a kind of a term of, get out of your baby Gap shirt, or
That's
you take your little sister's shirt off, or so, you are in an outfit that is not you. You're too big for it.
right.
And that's the digression, if you will, and the de-evolution of one's experience, empathic experience, when they don't allow themselves to move forward into being who they're really here to be. And again, that is what financially is keeping them stuck. And we share about our own experiences of actually not being really ever in that traditional empathic framework, so to speak, um, because of being sort of the forerunners of a newer definition of an empath. But because we've worked with empaths, we have definitely seen the patterns and the ways that they hold themselves back, and how it also causes them to be very dishonorable to, first of all, their own experience. And then if they're dishonorable to their own experience, they're going to be dishonorable to those who have tried to be there for them, to support them in their growth and evolution. So it's a very interesting journey. So what Gina and I would like to do right now is, we've already talked a little bit about the resource. We want to actually share some of the publications that we featured, and then a few others that Gina, has got several from her series that she's going to share that we believe will really help to support you. Because within the resource, we talk about the power of intentional journaling and how that helps to unlock some of the encoding that will help you to reach your greater, your greater potential. So within the resource, Gina, we featured her publication too, primarily, where it was leveling up for the higher end success and understanding in a new definition format where you're here to soar, you're here to be beyond what your norm has been. And so Gina's resource, Soaring to New Heights, do you want to show that one really quick? Soaring to New Heights as an Empath, and you can read the subtitle.
An intentional journal for powerful empaths who are ready to take things to the next level.
Absolutely. And so you have to be ready to take things to the next level. And then as far as understanding you have a contribution to the world and to discover what that is as an empath, Gina has the resource. Is it Sharing Your Empathic Journey the Right Way, I believe? Yes, so you can read the subtitle to that one.
How to use your experience to serve in your higher purpose, leveraging writing and publishing.
Yes. Okay, great. And so that's very important. And you um listen to the resource, then you know why that's very significant. And since we dealt in the high end realm, and that's my expertise in terms of the empathic experience in the new definition format, so to speak, is we shared a few of my publications that Gina has. I have several publications for the high-end empathic, experience. And I will link some of those below, but some of the ones that Gina has is here. So Gina, you can read the titles and subtitles of those.
So the new high-end empathic leaderpreneur acceleration factor, an introduction to discovering your higher call to service as a leading empathic influencer. And that's a VIP acceleration workspace planner.
Yes,
So
thank
that's
you.
one.
Mm-hmm.
And then harnessing your empathic, profitable phoenixpreneur power, rising in new levels of your entrepreneurial empowerment and profit potential for high-end success. It's a customized mini course creation planner.
Yes. All right. And then I think you have two more of mine.
I've got Red Root Riches for entrepreneurs, the basics of new dimensional root chakra healing for grounding your financial success and more. That's a journal prompts planner. And the evolutionary empathic eagle's new high-end vantage point, successfully soaring with a higher impact and income perspective as an empathic economicspreneur. It's an action planner.
Yes, great. All right, awesome. So those are the ones that support the moving into the higher end realm to get a jump start within that type of framework and template. And Gina has also other publications that can support empaths who are at various stages. And so she's going to share some of those resources, all of these resources and the product links, they will be in the description. So Gina, would you like to share some of those resources or your series?
So if you're not quite sure if you're an empath, this is for you. Are you an empath discovering your true identity and purpose, which is an intentional workbook to explore who you really are and the significance of that role as we move into a new era of consciousness. Then harnessing your power as an empath, a self-exploration, empathic empowerment guide for tapping into your limitless potential. Stepping into your genuine power as an empath, a 30-day intensive bootcamp workbook to expand and accelerate your journey as an empath. And accelerate your empathic potential, discovering new levels of your limitless purpose as an empathic leader, a self-assessment and action planner.
Okay, awesome. Yes. And so we'll have all of these within the description. And as I mentioned, I have several other high-end works, as well. One being highly sensitive to high-end, the right WRITE way, and that's a really good one. And Gina and I share a story about how that publication came about, and through a repurposing of a masterclass that I was facilitating. We're teaching, and Gina facilitated that, and then it started the birthing of her um, empathic niching experience. And so we'll have those different resources, and also contact information for both Gina and I will be within the description. So Gina, before we wrap up here, I would really love to hear you talk about the importance of the particular resource that we provided, and why you think more so now that it's needed and required, and than anything else that you would like to share.
There is no doubt in my mind that we are at a critical stage in our evolution as human beings and
Mm-hmm.
the planet in terms of its very survival. And I believe that empaths have a very important role to play
Mm-hmm.
because they have the sensitivity to recognize what's going on, and they have, if they allow themselves to, the encoding and the ability to support people along their journey, their evolution to greater consciousness. And so every empath who plays small not only is limiting themselves, but they are limiting those people who they were here on this earth to help. And so that doesn't mean to say they're doing nothing, but ultimately what they're doing is they're playing small when we need them to step into their true potential, to become a butterfly rather than just
Mm-hmm.
a caterpillar. And time is critical. And I would say to anyone who's listening to this, really go and explore the product, which takes this in much more detail, and all of the other products and books that Ali Nicole has shared with you today. Ultimately, you are the common denominator in every moment of your life. You choose moment by moment how you'd show up. And so I would say to you, it's time to choose to be proactive and to step into
Mm-hmm.
your power.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was so well stated. It is time. And honestly, you may think that you have a choice, but you're going to find out as evolution is progressing and things are shifting in this world that you're not going to be at much of a choice. You're going to be met head on with the decomposing of an old world that you were here to play a part in its expansion, and find yourself not prepared to fully play out who you're here to be. And one thing we know to be true is finances are required. You can only do so much in terms of quote unquote manifesting or trying to live without a certain way. Um, you're going to need a new level of resourcefulness to come forth for where this world is going. And so playing small, as Gina mentioned, you're not going to have a choice to play in that realm. You know, it is evolve or evaporate. And this is the time to go through consciously and partner with the metamorphosis experience so that you can reach your fuller potential. So again, the resources that we have shared and other resources of different products will be within the description, as I mentioned, and also again how to participate with Gina and I on another level, and how you can follow us. If you want to follow the Un-Empath experience, you can do that on Facebook, and I'll make sure that the link for that Facebook page is below. So with that being said, Gina, thank you, of course, so much. I'm so glad that we facilitated this product together, and also to provide an overview for others to start taking this serious and start to understand why they're in the situations that they're in. And it's not going to get any better if they actually don't metamorphosize into this new definition of who they are in purpose and potential. So We're going to send you away with many blessings, wishing you the absolute best and championing you to reach your fuller potential. Take care and stay blessed.